In this video, I want to talk about when to start preparing your child for the writing task of the 11 plus exams. And this is particularly important for parents whose children are going to sit grammar school exams where there is a stage 2. For example, St Olave's or the Sutton schools, and of course for the independent school exams where creative writing is integral to most of these exams. So, your child hates creative writing, you're losing the plot, they're not getting a plot, no pun intended there. What do you do? Every year, around October time, I get a barrage of phone calls and inquiries via email from parents who want to get their children prepared for the creative writing part of their stage 2 exam or for independent school exams, because usually by then the results for the grammar school exams have been released. And it can be quite a panicked frenzy. You know, parents then start giving their children essays to write, things that they've just got online. I mean, what else do? We go to Dr. Google, type in 11 plus essay, and if you get 11 plus essay with the .co.uk on, you know that it's a site that belongs to Geek School Tutoring. However, what tends to happen is there is a list of different creative writing, usually creative writing, not just all writing tasks, but you know, creative writing is a type of writing in the writing task that your child could receive could be given in the 11 plus exams. Okay, many parents think that all the questions will be creative writing based. That's not true at all, and there'll be a video soon covering all of that. If there's time and this video doesn't run over, of course I will go through some of the different writing tasks, but you can of course head over to the Geek School website, geekschool.co.uk, or the 11 plus essay, which is dedicated to all things writing task related, and have a look at what the different writing tasks are, because it's all listed in our video tutorials and such like. But let's bring it back. So today's topic is about when to start your child preparing for the writing task. And I say at the very beginning of the journey, your child should get into the routine of writing an essay. Preferably they'd be doing one per week. And there are so many reasons for this. Over the course of almost a decade of Geek School's life, what I tend to see a lot is that the children who need the support the most with their writing tend to only be given the opportunity to do well with that writing when they've been offered stage 2, or maybe if they don't pass the grammars and parents are then thinking about independent school exams as a backup, as if those exams are easier when actually they are not. Anyway, so before we carry on with this amazing video, please remember to like this video, subscribe to the channel and turn on the notifications so that you will get notified every time a new Geek School video goes up. Enjoy! Creative writing should be an integral part of your child's preparation. It shouldn't just be focused on preparing for the exam, and it's very important that children develop these skills because they'll need them in secondary school. Imagine, you know, primary school, the curriculum is very condensed. As soon as your child starts secondary school, you know, they've got English in its fullness, with essays to write and so on. And they will have history homework, geography homework, RS homework. You know, all these humanities require that writing skill that your child should develop for the 11 plus exam, so that when they start secondary school, it doesn't become a burden that stays with them for time immemorial. You know, it should be something that they're preparing for. Also, generally, when children are sort of forced through the creative writing journey with just a few weeks, I get contacted by parents 2 weeks before the exam, and when their children do an assessment or a mock writing task, you can see that it's really full of lots of issues, and it just puts the children under unnecessary pressure. It's best to do it in a step-by-step format over a longer period of time, so that your child can really get used to the art of writing, get to understand their own style, because, you know, there isn't one singular style of writing for these parts of the exam paper that are like the perfect model. You know, obviously the examiners want to see your child's own creative ability and their ability to put words on paper and construct a story or produce another piece of writing that makes sense and that is as error-free as possible. And so, like with any skill, like with maths, like with verbal and non-verbal reasoning, it's very important that children are given the time to develop these skills in a way that they are comfortable and they're able to nurture their writing ability, so that they don't end up hating writing, and so it doesn't become such a stressful time for them. So it needs to be an integral weekly part of the process, just like they would do, you know, a maths or English paper or verbal and non-verbal paper, or all of those papers every week. Creative writing should be a part of that. Now, apart from the fact that the routine of it helps children, one thing that a lot of children who struggle with writing tend to present is the speed of writing tends to be a lot slower, because they haven't got into the habit of regularly writing. It takes them longer to come up with ideas to write, so they tend to be a lot slower. And basically, if they're not able to produce a piece of writing that's coherent, that answers the questions, and that's a decent length, within sort of 25 to 30 minutes, that's the average time that most of these creative writing tasks are, then they struggle. They really, really struggle. And, you know, it becomes quite an uphill struggle, which has a knock-on effect to their confidence. Children who have ability then start to think that they have, you know, diminished ability or no ability to write, and often it couldn't be further from the truth. It's just because the way that they've been prepared has been focusing on just comprehension, just maths, for example, and then once they've got through to the second stage, their parents are then, you know, really pushing through the writing task practice. I don't really support that. I don't encourage that. So if a child is preparing for an English paper, in my view, the comprehension actually helps them come up with ideas. Many children who struggle with writing often don't read enough, or they don't read enough of the right books. And so when creative writing lessons are done integrally with, you know, English in terms of comprehension, reading, and so on, they're reading a lot more than they would, and they're reading a variety of texts, because obviously comprehension can cover so many different genres, and so it helps them to be able to expand their vocabulary, to deepen their understanding of, you know, story structures and creation. And it also gives them some ideas that they can bounce off. So it should all be integral. Creative writing shouldn't be standalone in preparation. It definitely shouldn't be a lastminute.com approach to the preparation at all, for reasons I've mentioned before. Now, another thing is to do with the handwriting. So we all know that the more practice we get with anything, the better that we become. And, you know, if children are not used to writing under time conditions and writing at length, then when it comes to doing so, obviously the speed of the writing would start to affect their handwriting. Now, I see a lot of things in terms of the quality of the handwriting that comes in through our the 11 Plus essay website, and obviously with our students when they start with us and they're assessed and so on. I always say to our students that if the examiner cannot read your writing and comprehend what you've written, they can't just assume anything about what you've produced. You would definitely get marked down. And so that routine of writing and being able to write legibly far ahead of the exam is paramount to your child's success. You know, you can just imagine that most schools have sort of 500, 1,000 applications. Imagine having so many writing tasks to mark. The patience and the time isn't there to use a microscope or a magnifying glass just to try and work out a word that's been written so illegibly. And if the entire piece of writing is illegible, you know, they can't just spend time trying to work out what on earth has been written. So handwriting is very, very, very important. So in the video, I'll be inserting a really good example of clear handwriting and another example of handwriting that would be a struggle. Now remember that it's not your child's class teacher who will be marking the papers. They are not used to your child's handwriting, and so it needs to be very, very clear. It also needs to be neat and tidy, and you know, scribbling out mistakes is just not the best way. Just one clean line with an insertion line where you know, the addition of the new word is going is just what is required. Something very neat and tidy and easy to navigate. That is exactly what the examiners are looking for. As I tell my students, make it as easy as possible for whoever is marking your paper to be able to mark your work. You must make it as easy as possible for them to give you the marks. If it's difficult for them, there just won't be the time to try and scrutinize and guess what you've written. They have to mark the paper according to what's on there. So handwriting is key. So I've alluded to this final part, which is ideas generation, in terms of you know, using comprehension alongside creative writing preparation to help. It's very, very important. Now, another way forward is with the routine of writing every week. It will help your child to come up with ideas. I am not a fan of memorizing stories, because can you predict what your child will be given in the 11 plus paper? You can't. You know, even if there are guidelines showing, you know, a variety of topics that may come up, on the day, every school, every county has full freedom to put in whatever they choose as the question for the writing task. And so it's really bad practice to get children to memorize. And it also puts them under more pressure, because in the exam, they'll try to memorize some idioms, some metaphors, some similes, and so on, when really they're supposed to use their creative ability, which they have plenty of, to produce a solid piece of writing. That's all that they're being examined on, and they can do it. So just to recap, Should children be prepared for the writing task at the end of their 11 plus preparation? A resounding no. It should be an integral part of their preparation throughout. Thanks for watching. Do you need help with your writing? Don't forget to check out Geek School Tutoring's online writing courses at www.the11plusessay.co.uk. We have everything from creative writing courses to English comprehension courses and English grammar and punctuation courses, just to name a few. Remember to like, comment and subscribe to our channel and to switch on your notifications so you know when our next video goes up. Bye. Collins,